Hello and welcome to the Rick Barry episode of the Hoop Theory Podcast, aka episode 64.
AKA also a guy that doesn't know ball. Sorry, I'll stop.
My name is Logan Wortman, recording this one on the afternoon of Tuesday, November 14th. And as usual, I'm joined by my lively co-host, Jacob Roth. Jacob, how does it feel to be on the Rick Barry episode?
I feel moderate about that, but being referred in the same sentence as Derek Lively feels pretty juicy. Because if you haven't been paying attention to the world of basketball, that's a name that you should know.
Yeah.
Everyone listening. Because
sure.
he is the missing key. Anyway, we'll talk about that probably more later, but I am pumped and a half to be here.
Just not on the Rick Barry, Barry episode.
That's whatever. For those that don't know, this man is in the corner of shame because he just slandered my boy Jalen, which I'm also going to do probably at some point. But his slander was delusional. My slander is out of love.
Pure love.
Just unadulterated, just aggression and passion.
Yeah, so we have a lot of things to talk about, really. A lot of smaller things. The world of basketball is pretty crazy right now. The Nuggets we still have the 1 seed in the West right now because of the tiebreaker we have over the Mavs. But we did lose our last game that we played, which was just the other night on Sunday against the Houston Rockets of all teams, which is...
They ain't no 30.
Yeah, a team that you had 30. I had 28th, to be fair. So we both were pretty off with them. I think they're closer to the 20 spot, somewhere in there at least.
Well, also question. The Nuggets have the 1 seed, but they lose it as soon as the Wolves, T-Wolves, Timberwolves play the same number of games as them, correct? Right? Because Wolves only have 2 losses if memory serves.
Let me check that really quick. Yes, the Wolves only have 2 losses. So if they win their next game, then they'll have the 1 seed. Well, no, they wouldn't, because there would be a 3-way tie then. And then it would go by whoever, and they would get it in that though.
Yes,
from the 3-way tie, because it would go by whoever is the highest seeded of their division, and for that they would be beating the Nuggets in our division because they have the head-to-head tiebreaker.
But then would the Mavericks have like some sort of weird head-to-head? It's 9 games in. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
It would go Timberwolves 1, and then it would go Nuggets versus Mavericks head-to-head, and that Nuggets have that, so Nuggets would be 2.
But why would the Mavericks and the Timberwolves not be a part of the first head-to-head?
Because there's 3 teams. You can't do head-to-head with 3 teams.
No.
So if there's 3 teams,
so the fact
you need
that
to find
Mavericks,
1. You need to get one that's better than the other 3. Or the other 2, right? So that you have 3 teams, you need to get 1 team to come out of that as the 1 seed.
No, but I was saying but the Mavericks have not played I'm tracking now.
And it wouldn't matter if they had either, because you can't go head to head. In a 3-way tie, it just goes...
the only way it would matter is if the Mavericks had beat the Wolves.
No, but it still wouldn't matter because the Wolves would still be the highest in their... Which, are the Mavericks the highest in their division? Oh, okay. So then it would have to be a tiebreaker between them, I guess. Because the South.
I feel like the Nuggets would bump down to 3 in that imaginary world situation.
Yeah, I forgot about the Mavericks probably being the top of their. They would have to be, yeah.
Yeah, because if they're the 3rd in the West,
yeah.
4th is probably the Rockets, I think. Anyway,
yeah.
This is all like week game 10 or 9 for everyone, so it has negative playoff implications.
Not quite negative, but yeah, we're still pretty early in. Only got a 10-game sample so far. For some teams, there's some teams that haven't played.
You know what's depressing though?
What?
Out of 80, let's say the season's 80 games, 12.5% of the season. Yeah. 12.5 is already gone.
Already behind us. Yeah.
It feels like it was lightning.
Yeah,
Grease
it does
lightning.
feel fast.
Just sow.
Yeah, I agree.
Sow.
And we're getting some of those games have been worth more than other games because of the in-season tournament, which I am a big proponent of. I just want to put that out. I feel like I haven't spoke on that in a way that's like, I love the in-season tournament. We've just kind of talked about it, not really given our opinion on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly really love the in-season tournament, and I hope it's here to stay because
it definitely will be.
It's a lot of fun.
We need to do that. If anyone listened to last episode, we didn't do that PowerPoint thing to send to Adam Silver. Giving us what they should do. But I also was thinking about it. It's probably they're doing it right now because right now they're fist fighting with the NFL.
Yeah, I was going to say the ratings are actually probably the lowest right now of the year. I think that's the reason why they chose.
Opening weekend. They're probably just like go to the floor, and then when football goes away, they go up. Also, the NBA I think is the most behind on streamed things. Because, like, I got Fubo, Fubo TV.
Oh, really?
I do.
Me too.
I like it. I have it, and then I get rid of it the second the NFL season's over. Because I only get, like, 2 NBA games.
You would have the Nuggets, I don't know about Incarni, I guess, but you would have at least the Nuggets, I think.
No, yeah, because we get Altitude. The Altitude Network's one of them.
Yeah.
But in terms of, like, the TNT and stuff, like, I don't get, like...
Oh, TNT NFL, is not on Fubo, yeah. That's the one thing that's bad about Fubo.
Which just means you remove, like, a huge chunk of the primetime basketball games.
Yeah.
For a streaming service. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like the NFL is just more accessible via streaming, and that is the thing that the NBA will probably catch up eventually. But they should look into that outside of just having NBA Game Pass or whatever they call it.
Yeah, League Pass. Yeah.
League Pass.
And there's some teams, I think it's Phoenix and Utah. This year is the first season ever that they're not on an RSN, like one of their regional sports networks anymore. They just have a website that their games stream on, and then they're on like a local channel. I guess they're like the game is also broadcasted onto a local channel in their city. But yeah,
interessante.
It is interesting. But yeah, so anyways, I can't remember how we got on that, but we were talking about, the ratings. So the ratings this time of year are not great, especially because I think this is the way I've heard it said, at least, that people don't really watch the NBA until Christmas, usually. Christmas is like the time where all the viewers of the NBA tend to tune in finally. But now apparently NFL has games on Christmas. That's the thing now?
Yeah, I think so. Well,
that sounds terrible. I don't like that thing, that changing.
Well, this Christmas, the NFL won't have games on Christmas if it's on a Wednesday or a Tuesday. Like the NBA will move games to Christmas and Christmas Eve. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, games happen on any day of the week, so it's not really moving.
NFL, Christmas is on a Monday, I think, this year.
Okay, so
the NFL will for sure have...
It just happens to coincide.
Well, they'll probably throw an extra game there because the NFL season also, once college football goes away, kind of just like stretches and like takes up more time. So less games are like exclusive, regionally locked.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They have games on Saturday once the college football season's over, which is also not quite. It's a little bit after Christmas, but like last couple weeks of the season, there's like, I think two Saturday games. Maybe 2 Monday games even. They go kind of weird.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I've heard it said before that like the Christmas has always been like the NBA's time because NFL never has games on Christmas. I thought, at least.
Or maybe they just have Christmas Eve usually.
Okay. Because I think the NFL's thing was like they get Christmas off for the players.
Well, that's not the case this year. There's 3 games going on Christmas Day.
So this year it's changed, and that I don't like that because me growing up in the state of Nebraska, where many people care much more about football than basketball,
for sure.
My family has always, whenever we're together, like football is obviously the number one pick to go on the screen. That or golf usually, I guess, but because of the older patriarchs in the family get to decide. But on Christmas, I've always enjoyed that. It's like, the only sports on right now is basketball, so I can just put NBA up on the TV and nobody can really argue with it because what else are we going to watch, So I've always enjoyed having that, but now I can't even have that, it feels like. So I'm not a fan of the NFL's or Roger Goodell's, whoever is making the decision to play on
Roger
Christmas
Goodell's
Day.
way better. I can't stand Roger Goodell, but he is way better than Adam Silver. Adam Silver is going to be looked back and will be like, hey, he kind of sucked.
Really? I've almost heard the complete opposite of that from most people, but I guess I don't know enough to speak on it, but
I think that Adam Silver was handed David Stern is GOAT. Players don't like him, but he grew the game of basketball.
Yeah, that was his, but like, that's the thing. They're both good at what their mission is. Like, they both have very starkly different missions.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty clear. Like, the David Stern's whole thing was, I'm trying to get the game as global as possible. And
then Adam Silver is, I'm trying to get as close to LeBron James as I can.
I think Adam Silver's main thing is he's trying to market players and he's trying to reach as much of the next generation coming up. Like, he's trying to make the next generation more basketball fans than other sports, than football mainly.
I think that's going very poorly.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like all little kids, like young people nowadays, it's like way more basketball than football. Because like, it's just, basketball is such a social media, like more than any other sport. Like, so much of the engagement of the NBA happens on social media.
I guess the only children I hang out with are 2 years old and haven't really decided a sport yet.
Yeah.
I know that my daughter hates watching football and basketball.
Yeah, I mean,
and
sure.
But my son, who's like 6 months, big fan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a color with other colors zipping around.
Big fan of both?
Yeah, he doesn't care. Mm-hmm. Actually, one of the biggest fans of the
in-season tournament
courts.
Yeah,
because it's just this aggressive color with other things spattered around it. So that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not seen the Pelicans court yet. Have they played on it?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think they were away
for both of them, or maybe didn't play in one of the weeks.
Yeah,
I was not able to watch
one.
That Celtics game live. What was I doing? Oh, high school football. I was at a high school football game for the radio. Anyway, I don't like it. I just wish it was flipped. I liked the color idea for the Celtics, but I just wanted the colors to be flipped. We're bouncing all over the place. I don't even know if we've actually really started this episode at all in like a genuine, real fashion.
Well, I mean, we started talking about something we weren't planning on talking about, but I still think it's a good conversation at least.
Yeah. I think Roger Goodell is just like the worst. But all commissioners, if you're doing a good job as commissioner, you're most likely not going to be loved by everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
because you're like pushing, whether you're like making changes happen, so all the like old heads are like, or me are like, why are you making changes? Changes are terrible. Mm-hmm. Or you're doing things that like, I think Roger Goodell is not as player friendly or good at like good for NFL players.
Yeah.
But I feel like he has done a very good job of like, football is like this untouchable thing.
How it's always been, and like what all adults tune into every time that it's on.
Just
like,
even Sunday night, you're like, oh,
yeah,
exactly. You're just hanging out with friends Sunday night, you'll just throw football on.
Yeah, football's the thing, and so that's the thing though. Like the fact that he's very protective also of like the copyright of NFL. Like people aren't allowed to really put a lot of NFL film into videos on YouTube and stuff like that without it being copyrighted in some way.
It's a weird, different deal, yeah.
NBA is like very, very loose on that. And the reason is because Adam Silver's whole motto basically is like, as long as people are engaging with it, that helps our product. It doesn't matter if we're making money off of every single video.
Because eventually we will.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He wants it to infiltrate the minds of all of the youths, and basketball to just be this ever apparent or ever present thing in people's and the youth's lives, which is on the internet and on social media and on YouTube for the most part, more so than it's like tuning in on YouTube TV or some of the TV platforms to stream like a full game, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So I just saw a picture of a ghost of Larry Bird next to Sam Hauser shooting, and then the caption just says "Walk with me."
Walk with me.
You never heard that? Or like walk, let's have a conversation. Walk with me. And it's
I haven't been paying attention to Sam Hauser. Has he not been shooting well?
Oh no, he just had a very great shooting yesterday.
Oh, so good. It was a positive.
It was a ghost of like Larry Bird shooting, and then right next to him is Sam Hauser shooting.
Yeah.
Saying they like look alike and they're the same, and then it says "walk with me."
Gotcha.
Because if people don't know where I get my NBA news, speaking of social media, Twitter is where I find a lot of my little bit of tidbits of NBA news. And speaking of NBA news, you know what's the most prevalent, Logan?
What is that?
All the memes about James Harden being terrible.
Yeah. I haven't actually seen any memes, honestly.
Oh, my favorite one is it was a picture of who beat? It might have been have the Wolves beat them?
I don't know if they've played.
Someone that beat them, the best player was like a barber and then cut an L into James Harden's beard. It was so funny.
Yeah, that is funny. I don't know who. I haven't been paying attention too much to the actual. I've seen a couple of the games that James Harden's played in.
Actually, I know where I saw it. These people need to be stopped, but they're funny. Have you seen these like seemingly to be official accounts for NBA teams, but from Brazil?
Oh yeah, and Argentina, they have some of those.
I just have seen Brazil ones because like the Brazil Timberwolves social media person needs to calm down. It is the most out of pocket, provocative, AI generated imagery I've ever seen.
Really? For the Wolves?
Yeah, for the Wolves. Like there's one of them where like this like furry looking wolf guy like picks up another wolf.
I have seen that.
He eats him.
Yeah, that was a while ago that I saw.
There was like another one where like when they beat the Warriors, there was like a guy fighting with a sword, and then the wolf knocks him over and like assumes a position. Of not. I'm just like, is this actually affiliated with the NBA? Like, what is going on?
I don't know who runs it, but I know that there's a lot of teams that have like different like team accounts from different places. Like a lot of them are in Brazil and Argentina, and then there's some in like
and I wish
Indonesia.
That you can like sometimes if a tweet's in a different language, it'll say translate. But like it doesn't let me translate their thing, so it says do Timberwolves know Brazil? This is Portuguese. I don't speak Portuguese, but anyway, they also just did just a video of two guys dancing above the official Steph Curry's not playing. Because he's not playing tonight. So it's like two people dancing.
Wow.
That is worth a follow. It's
sound
weird,
like it,
but it's just comical. And it's even better when you don't speak Portuguese. Because it's just a meme and then everybody just ha ha ha.
Uh-huh. Yeah. That is pretty wild. I'll have to follow them, honestly, on Twitter.
I'm going to send you one of these. You don't have to throw it up if you don't want to, because I know that takes a bunch of extra time. This is the one that, like, secured that I am going to follow this account. This image, I was like, I am giving them my follow. It's a picture of Steph Curry, AI generated, running away from a wolf through a forest. But it's like, it's messed up. Anyway, we got very distracted.
Yeah. I guess to start off, like our actual plan for the episode, I'll touch on the Nuggets loss to the Rockets the other night. I think I mentioned it, but going into that a little bit more, the Nuggets are without Jamal Murray. For those that don't know, he's going to be out basically the rest of this month. Hopefully he'll be back after that. But yeah, things have been not great because even though I've been vocal about Michael Malone's decision in the past, at least for putting Jamal Murray as the sole starter in the second unit, staggering his minutes with the bench. I think it was necessary to do for like either him or Jokic or MPJ, somebody to play that role. But this year, I think Jamal has gotten a lot better in that realm. Like last year, because his season last year was a big ramping up into what he eventually would become in the playoffs. This year, he hasn't been awesome, but at least in the second unit, things were looking better with people playing off of him. But without him, our like the bench unit is just like lost, because then we have to bring in Reggie Jackson as the starting point guard, and he just follows the same substitution pattern that we do with Murray. So it's Reggie Jackson that stays in there for like the first half of the first quarter. Then he comes out. Colin Gillespie comes in as the point guard with the starters, and then Reggie Jackson rotates back in with the bench. And he's basically the star of the show on the bench unit, Reggie Jackson, and he's looked really good this season in the starting unit, like when he's playing off of Jokic, but with no other starters around him, it's not a great look. And we've had to, like, the rotation pattern the last few games without Jamal has been very all over the place. It's been like a lot of stretches where it's like just Jokic and all bench players, which I think is probably the best way to go for staggering.
Because he's like it's widely acknowledged that, like, if your floor as an NBA player is here, Jokic just kind of aggressively shoves it up.
Yeah.
To where you're like a starter on some teams.
Did you see this game? Like, did you look at the stats at all from this game, the Nuggets-Rockets game?
I was not able to. I saw like snippets of it, but I was not able to just commit time. Yeah,
so Jokic this was a 107-104 loss. Jokic had 36 points, 21 rebounds, 11 assists. So a 30-20-10 game, another one. He was a plus 12 in a 3-point loss. And also, I think the craziest thing was in the minutes that Jokic didn't play, because he played 38 minutes and 15 seconds. In that amount of time, 10 minutes that he wasn't on the floor, do you know how? Just take a guess at how many points the Nuggets scored while he wasn't in the game.
4.
2.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's worrisome. Actually,
2 points. Yeah.
Well, like, obviously, when you're like that good of a team, you miss a big piece, your team's way worse. But are the Nuggets the most like player fragile? Not because their players are fragile, but like, you just remove the Jokic piece and they're like a play-in team.
We're way worse than a play-in team. Okay, that's the other thing. We didn't talk about this before that we started the show, but like earlier this week, I was thinking this has to be what we talk about on the episode. I totally forgot about it.
We're gonna throw James Harden out the window.
He'll come up. He'll come up. But this is something that we just need to spend some time on, which is the amount of people I've been seeing recently that are saying in our TikTok comments and on Twitter and stuff, saying that Jokic is overrated because his team is so good.
Well, that's kind of crazy. That's really?
Yes, people
that's crazy.
Are saying that.
There's like some people you could say that about. I feel like Jokic isn't that guy. Yeah. I think they're a play-in team still.
No, they are not. There's no way. There's no, like, the Nuggets without Jokic in the past 3 years now have been the worst team in basketball. Literally. They've been on average like an 18 to 19 win team per season, like each season, is what their projected total wins would be over an 82 game season if they played every game without Jokic, according to the numbers of his on and off, numbers. So it's like with
How many of those was without Jamal Murray also, though?
Well, most of them, but last season. But okay, I mean, because that's
if you take away your first and second options.
Well, that was our team for a long time, though. It was just
I understand.
Jamal wasn't on it. So,
yes.
But now last year it was. I think he broke his record that he previously set in expected wins added. So it couldn't have been more than a 25 win team, because I think the projected with him, like if every game was played with him on the floor every minute, it was like a 66 win team or something like that.
This is where I struggle. These numbers where I get confused. I understand Jokic being on the floor makes this team infinitely better. I understand that part, but putting specific numbers on it, that's where I'm like, I don't get it.
It's based on the minutes that he plays, the possession that he plays, like what is our offensive rating in those
times.
In those minutes, and like beyond that, what's our net rating? So how much are we outscoring teams we play in the minutes that Jokic plays?
And when
now
he's not.
Take those minutes and make that every minute of every game. If every minute of every game was a Jokic minute,
so it's slightly flawed. But I get what you're saying.
Well, yeah, but it's just it's equalizing to the
best
sample
possible.
Yeah, of like if every game was played without Jokic, they would win this many games. If every game was played with Jokic, then they would probably win this number of games. That type of thing. And so it's just kind of like painting the picture of like how good that team is playing, during those stretches. It's just like a barometer for that. But it's definitely the best tool we have for determining how much a one player impacts to a team.
There's a whole lot of blue in the Western Conference.
What are you looking at?
I'm just looking at the standings to be like, okay, what teams would they have to be better than without Jokic to still be a play-in? And it is closer than I thought it'd be. But there's like no red. There's the Trailblazers.
Oh, you're talking about like team colors.
Yeah, I just was looking. There's just
not
so
a lot of variety. Unrelated.
It's just all blues and yellows. Looking at the logos, a couple purples and stuff, but just blues.
Over. Rockets are red.
Rockets, Trailblazers, Clippers are the only 3 teams that have red. But then you look at blue. Nuggets, Mavs, T-Wolves, Warriors, Pelicans, kind of. Grizzlies, Jazz, Clippers also. A lot of blue. Then you go to the Eastern Conference and it's just like this just spattering of just everything.
Yeah.
There's a lot more reds.
In the East.
It's a lot more even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyways.
Sorry.
The thing about Jokic being overrated because his team is good. It's just like, it's insane to me. I don't understand how I feel like people just, a lot of, not everybody, but there's a lot of people who voice their opinion on TikTok and on Twitter and stuff that it's like, did you just start watching the NBA like last week?
I did see one comment. That guy definitely has never watched the NBA. He watches Sports Center and that's how he like imbibes basketball content.
It's like they're like right now the Nuggets, like what they just did in the playoffs, like, oh, all those guys are playing so good, so that must mean that Jokic is overrated because all the guys around him are so good. And it's like, okay, if you watch Jokic start his career, the reason why those players look so good around him is because of him. Like, it's not like that they're completely talentless or anything like that, but he elevates those guys to a level that is unlike anybody else.
Yeah. No, I'm on Team U on this one.
Yeah.
I'm on Team Sambor Shuffle. I'm on Team Honeypot or whatever his weird name was. Not Honeypot.
Big Honey.
Big Honey. Honeypot's when someone like puts on like glasses or a hat and they like just look way more attractive. Honeypot.
Maybe. I have no idea. I don't know why it would be called that.
I think it's called honeypotting. Let me make sure that it's not something that needs to not be said online.
That does sound like something.
A person that acts as a lure or decoy in a trap, scam, or scheme.
Okay.
The senator engaged in an extramarital relationship with the honeypot set up by his political rivals. So, basketball is honeypotting Jokic from his true vision of being the world's greatest horse trainer owner in the history of mankind. Basketball is a honeypot. With that being said, yes, that people on the internet, delusional.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people, but it's crazy that like LeBron still has the amount of weight of like you think LeBron isn't the best player on the planet right now? And I'm like, brother man hasn't been for like 3 or 4 years in the conversation.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. Michael Jordan played until 2002. People don't talk about that. It's okay. You get worse as you get older. It just happens. Yeah.
No, I agree. Also, in 2002, Michael Jordan played 82 games. He was 40 years old.
That's a wild stat.
Yeah.
82.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that there's anybody that plays 82 games this year?
Has McCall missed one yet?
Oh, yeah, I forgot that's like his thing.
Yeah.
He's like intentional about it. Yeah.
AD already missed out on his, how he said before the season he wanted to play all 82. I think he's missed at least one. I think maybe even 2 so far.
I don't know. They are also a team that has underperformed so far.
Yeah. I think they'll get better, but yeah, things haven't looked great with them. But going back to the Nuggets though, that Rockets game, it was an interesting game. There's a lot of different things about it. Like Jalen Green was terrible, 1 for 13. But honestly, I think a lot of it had to do with KCP, the defensive job he was doing. KCP had a great game defensively. Didn't do much off. I don't even think he only took 2 shots or 2 3-pointers, I guess. 5 shots total, 2 of 5 from the field. But yeah, offensively there was just not a lot going on. Aaron Gordon was pretty passive. His numbers don't look bad, but from watching that game, he just wasn't like aggressive attacking mismatches like he usually does. Like Jabari Smith is a really skinny guy that usually when Aaron Gordon's going against something like that, he'll try to use his size against him, his bulk, but didn't really go to that very much. And then Alperen Şengün was like a Jokic versus Şengün kind of battle there for a little bit.
He also is the closest. It's like he's like a fake Jordan, but he's really close.
Mm-hmm.
Jokic is like obviously the goal, what you're trying to replicate. And the Rockets have just found like it's close.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's just like toned down, but at like a low level.
Yeah, at this point in his career, like when Jokic was this age, Şengün's numbers look better than Jokic's did then. But also, I think Şengün is a lot more of a focal point.
Yes, he's being used a lot more than Jokic was at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it is just so chef's kiss to watch Şengün cook.
Yeah,
and
he's got his
whatever he's cooking.
Turkish, yeah. He's also got his own version of Jokic's, like the Sambor shuffle, that one-legged shot. I actually really like. It's almost like he goes into a standing floater, which I kind of do a lot too, just for fun, like just shooting around. That's kind of comes naturally. So, I'm surprised more people don't do that, to be honest. Just kind of go into the shooting form of a floater without jumping. Like I feel like I make shots better that way than like just normal shooting sometimes. But yeah, that's what Şengün does sometimes. He'll lift one leg up and just kind of do a standing floater. It's pretty lethal.
His hometown starts with a G, Giresun in northeastern Turkey. So there's not really like a Sambor shuffle just kind of works, you know? There's not like a Giresun gallop. It doesn't
gallop.
Really...
Oh wow, that was a good one though.
Well, honestly. But it's not really a gallop. It's kind of just like a.
I mean, the Sambor shuffle's not really a shuffle either.
Well, it is like there's a shuffle essence of it.
Yeah,
kind of like
a little bit. Yeah.
Sorry, people can't see me if they're watching. I did a replication that was pretty spot on.
Pretty spot on. Yeah.
Anyway, so it was just a good game. From what I've heard, what did you see? Like you were kind of talking about it, but. It was like Jokic dueling Şengün. What like?
Mm-hmm.
It seems crazy. The Rockets are better than we thought, but they're not that good. You know?
No. I mean, yeah, the Nuggets were searching for something. Like the bench unit was just awful. Every time Jokic was in there, things were going decent at least. But every time he wasn't, it was just like Jokic. Lately, his jump shot hasn't been like super on lock. Sometimes he goes through phases where it's like it's not working super well. Like he's not like a god from 3-point range. It's just not on command like it was in the playoffs.
It's just like a good big shooter, not a you shoot 80% from 3 for some stupid reason.
And he can't just be like, we're losing this game, I'll just shoot some threes and get us back into it. Like that's what he couldn't do in the Rockets game, and so he just had to keep going inside and just posting up Şengün and whoever he had on him. But yeah, he went off for 36, 21, and 11. And I think the game was kind of lost because we had the lead most of the game. But then in the fourth quarter, Michael Malone kept him out a little longer than usual, than you would think, just because he kept him in so much of the game before. So he brought him in at like a little under the 8-minute mark, I want to say, in the fourth quarter, and I think it was just too far gone at that point. Like it was like
you were down pretty aggressively when he came back in.
Well, it's not that the point differential was that bad at that point. It's just
wasn't
like
it 8 or something like that.
It was like 6 or 8, something like that. But it was just the momentum of that they were catching, just the possessions leading up to that. And then the first possession he was in there, then Fred VanVleet hit a big 3, and which made it 9 or 11 or whatever. And then it was tough to come back from it at that point. And it was just like things were not working super well offensively down the stretch. Reggie Jackson was missing a couple threes. It was just tough. If it wasn't Jokic actually like backing somebody down and shooting, then it basically wasn't going in. And so yeah, it was not a fun game to watch. I kind of just like stopped watching the last couple minutes of it because I was like, we're gonna lose.
Yeah.
But we almost won it at the end because I guess like the play-by-play breakdown of the very last sequence of the game was we were down by 4 and Jokic hits a 3 with 13 or 16 seconds left. So we're down by 1 now. And then we foul them as they inbound the ball to put them on the free throw line. They make both free throws. We get the ball. So we're down 3 inbounding, and we don't even get the ball in bounds. We turn it over because I think KCP's he was the inbounder, maybe Reggie Jackson, one of them. They were inbounding to Michael Porter Jr. MPJ kind of the way he came off the screen was very loose and allowed like the guy trailing him to have a crevice to get through and kind of get the ball before it reached his hands. So we didn't even get the opportunity to try to win the game. We gave the ball right back, and then we were down by 3 at the very end, and Jokic had an opportunity at like a full court heave to tie it, but he missed it. That was like one where I was like, dude, if he makes this is ridiculous. But yeah, so Jeff Green also was a big key factor down the stretch of that game also, which is just awesome, I guess, but kind of hurtful
14
also.
Teams or 14 teams in 16 seasons, something like that, or 16
I
teams
think
in
it's
14
like,
seasons.
No, it's definitely not 16. I think it's like 9 or 10 teams. I want to say 11 at most, because Ish Smith has the all-time record with 13.
Okay.
Which I wanted him to go to a new team this year, but he just went back to the Hornets, which is a team he's already been on. I think it was the Hornets, right? Yeah, I want to say it's the Hornets.
Oh, Seattle. So I don't know if they count Seattle and OKC as 2 or 1.
Oh, they probably count it as 1, but you can. I think if you want to, you can count it as 2.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It is 11. With it is 1, 12. With it is 2.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. And he's made the playoffs with quite a few of them too. I think he's made the playoffs with like 10 of them, something like that. But yeah. So, but the Rockets are a team that Jeff Green's played for in the past, also.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, we don't need to go into a full Nuggets deep dive, but just wanted to mention that Rockets game and how the Rockets have been cooking recently, and how they're a really good defense, honestly. With Ime Udoka, as the head coach, implementing that kind of reminds me of the Celtics defense a few years ago. But yeah, so tonight though, the Nuggets hopefully will stay undefeated at home. We're currently 6-0 at home. We're playing another one tonight in Ball Arena against the Clippers, who they have been struggling recently, and this is our transition into the next chapter of this podcast episode, which is we're talking about the Harden trade going to the Clippers. They're 0-4 since that trade, or with Harden in the lineup at least. And yeah, things have not been looking good. I was somebody who said on last episode that I thought like I didn't really have a lot of worries about it at least eventually working. Now I would say I have more worries than I previously did.
That it'll ever work.
Yeah, that it will ever work. I still feel like it definitely could, but I do feel a lot less confident about it than I previously did, for sure. Go ahead.
It feels like they cannot continue to play the role they've always played.
Oh, yeah.
All 4 guys have to change what they do.
Yeah.
3 of the 4. Kawhi can still, whatever he does, he can keep doing.
Yeah.
But I feel like everyone else needs to slightly shift. Most dramatically, Russ and Harden need to change how they play with one another for it to work at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should. I think they should probably stagger. I mean, they do stagger their minutes, but I would say even obviously this won't happen in a million years. But obviously, I think what would be best is maybe bringing Harden in off the bench, um, just because like I think he makes the most sense as a six man. Like with not that he's worse than I think Harden is clearly the better player than Russ at this point in their careers, but I still think that Harden like booing a second unit is much more of a uh or like much more of a achievable thing, a thing that I feel like there's a lot more value in than Russ
Yes,
being
doing that.
the lone star.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think what you said about them needing to change their play styles, I think that's pretty true. Like,
And maybe it'd be better if they just weren't on the court at the same time, literally taking turns. It looks like 2018 Celtics offense, where it's like, it's Jalen's turn to run ISO. Now let's have Jason do it. Oh, Jason scored. Let's give him another chance at ISO ball.
yeah,
Oh, he didn't score that time. Now it's Jalen's turn. That's what it feels like, except it's running the offense, Westbrook or Harden. They just bounce back and forth.
Yeah. I think they should do a lot more stuff like how they played together really early in their careers, obviously, with the Thunder. Back then, James Harden was a totally different kind of player. He would come off ball, like come off screens, be moving off ball to get, set up in his spot, and Russ could set him up, like if they had interplay like that together, like I think that's what they really are missing. And also, like, just for Paul George and Kawhi, like, for them to not, like, for them to be set up in that similar type of way, like, I think there needs to be a little bit less of a focus on, like, getting them reps in, like, just putting the ball in their hands and bringing, like, getting into something. I feel like they should be more set up in a way where it's like they're an option of the play, of the offense, with when the ball is in either Russ or Harden's hands, running some action, either with one of those two guys or with those guys being set up, like coming off of a screen, off ball, to get an open three or something like that. I just feel like theoretically it should work, should be able to work, but personality wise and just like what the players are used to doing is just going to be a struggle. I think that's pretty clear. It is definitely going to be a bit of a struggle. And also, something that's funny about this that I wanted to point out is just the fact that these three players are all on the same team. Harden, Russ, and Kawhi, who are, that infamous MVP race in 2017. It was like the three-way race between Harden, Russ, and Kawhi. Yeah. Russ ultimately ended up winning it, which is one of the most controversial MVP awards in NBA history. And there's most people who don't think Russ should have got it, think Harden should have got it. But there's a good number of people that are like Zach Lowe, for instance. And this is kind of the camp where I tend to lean as well, that Kawhi really probably should have won it that season, with the Spurs winning like 65 games that year. But yeah, it's interesting to see this team have all three of those guys. And then you know what? Who else is on the team? Paul George. Who also, I don't know if he had a fully healthy season in 2017, but it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for him also being in that top 5 of MVP voting. That would have been a pretty good year for that. So if this team was assembled in 2017, that would been insane.
It's like, I just think of that sometimes. We're like, yeah, LeBron and AD played, like, you're just like talking to sophomore, freshman, 2013, 2014, 2015. You be like,
yeah,
well, AD, that wouldn't be like as a normal, but you know what I mean? Just go back 5 years, whatever you want to do. LeBron and AD play together. The other team in LA is Harden, Westbrook, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
The Spurs found there were 3 number 1 picks. All look like they're gonna probably be Hall of Famers somehow, magically.
Mm-hmm.
So Popovich is still there. Still cooking.
That is pretty crazy, yeah.
Like, there's just so many things that you would be like, what? That happened?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Like, till 2014, Giannis, one of the best players on the planet, you'd be like, what?
Yeah, if you would have said that back then.
The project player that the Bucks took?
Yeah.
fun fact, it worked. It's just crazy to think, like, just having hindsight, obviously.
Where things are right now. Even just looking at like where, the fact that Harden is on the Clippers, like looking back at like last season, the end of last year, where things are now, like Dame being on the Bucks instead of the Heat, which is where everybody thought he was going.
Yeah,
things like that. But looking at the beneficiaries of this trade, though, the 76ers, they got a bunch of wings. They got Marcus Morris Sr., Robert Covington, Nicholas Batum, and I think KJ Martin. I think those were the 4 players that got moved in the deal over to the Sixers. I mean, I might be missing somebody, but those were like the main guys. And they got some collection of picks. Obviously, I think we already went over this last episode, but the Sixers, though, they've looked amazing this season without Harden this whole time. So I think that was a great trade for them. Obviously, getting a bunch of assets that they could potentially flip into another star or sub all-star at some point this year to try to really make a push for the title, with Tyrese Maxey stepping into that like full-on star role, really. Something that I love about Tyrese Maxey is he just kind of has, I'm stealing this from the DNVR guys, their podcast, but they were saying that how Tyrese Maxey has Jokic energy, which I just agree with. Like, he's just like, he's not like a stereotypical star type of vibe. Like, it's much more of like an inclusive, even though he's a bucket getter.
Yeah.
Like, the way his personality is as a teammate is just very like unselfish, I guess. And something that I heard over the summer, apparently, that Embiid's trainer, Tyrese Maxey, became an intern for Embiid's trainer this summer because so he could practice throwing the ball to Embiid, just the chemistry of being able to get Embiid the ball in like the post and like different spots on the court, things like that. And it was
That's wild.
Yeah. And that kind of thing is just, it sets, I know those things are like things that people don't usually talk about or like hear about, but like, I feel like those are the type of things that really make a difference a lot of times, in things working out, And so I don't know. I just feel really good. I feel like the Sixers, this is another thing I've heard from the DNVR podcast, but also other places. I think the Sixers vibes right now are at an all-time high.
Oh, yeah. This is the highest they've ever been.
Yeah. Like, things are just looking good and feeling good.
Which they should. Like, you get rid of James Harden, you get like back things that you can actually use. Maybe more than you can actually use, but you get back pieces you can actually use.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, the guy that needs to step up, first game, steps up for 50 points. 2 days later, you beat the team that gets you out of the playoffs every year comfortably. Like, it was a close game, but they were in control for most of that game.
Yeah.
Like, they beat Boston with, like, anyway. And then, like, they just keep on doing it, and now they're, like, the only one-loss team remaining.
Mm-hmm.
After losing their first game, now they're just back. Joel Embiid is looking spicy, not like MVP runner spicy, but he looks good.
And see, I think Embiid he's playing a lot more unselfishly this year. That's part of like the vibes thing being at an all-time high. Like, Embiid is playing more like not having so many possessions in ISO and playing much more as like just a piece of the offense.
He is just shy of 6 assists a game.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like a different play style for Embiid, but it's just funny how there's a lot of people last year like making fun of, like, in the whole Jokic versus Embiid debate, people who were like making fun of like the fact that Jokic fans have to bring up like the playmaking and like, things like that when the Embiid fans talk about how much more Embiid scores in the post and blah blah blah. And it's like, looking at it this year with Embiid taking that approach, dialing back the scoring and more so putting it into the like playmaking side of things, it's like the Sixers are looking a lot better and playing at a level that is just noticeably higher. So it's just kind of ironic to view it that way. But and like we were talking before the podcast started, I thought it was a really good conversation we started to get into, though, which was the LaVine potential.
Because LaVine, it was just publicly said, what kind of prompted our initial conversation is the Bulls and LaVine have both like mutually talked and agreed that like maybe we should look to send you somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And this has came up in the past, but as you said before we started talking, feels like the pump is the most primed it has ever been to see Zach LaVine wearing a non-Bulls jersey.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's going to be either him or DeRozan. We'll see move this season probably, or maybe even both, to be honest, if the Bulls go like full rebuild. But yeah, one of them I'm guessing will probably be moved. And something you said was that DeRozan, like for teams yeah, you go ahead.
So like I was like, any team that wants to win, I would rather have DeRozan. And then you said, well, it kind of depends on fit. And then you said, well, the Sixers. And I'm like, well, yeah, I guess. Like if he's able to be like, I am buy into the role that is very clearly there.
Yeah, LaVine.
LaVine. And LaVine is like has the skill set to do that better than DeRozan would. But he would have to be like, I'm the third option. And be okay with that.
Probably, yeah.
It's the third option on maybe the best team in the NBA, but it's the third option.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree.
And it's a fluid thing that like there'd be some nights if he's the hot hand that he would probably just be the guy. But then there'd be other nights where if Joel Embiid is having one of those just nights, you don't mess with it and just let Embiid do Embiid things. Or if Maxi's on pace for a 50 burger. Also, the thing that I was like the most shocked about that is it seemed like it just came to him. He didn't force a 50-point game.
Yeah, he only shot 3 free throws.
It just like he took the shots that came to him. And if it wasn't there, he just passed. Like it was
an ethical 50 ball.
That doesn't happen. When's the last time that's happened when a guy doesn't get to 40 and go like, okay, let's keep this going. And just start taking shots if they're hot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there was a couple times in there, obviously, where it's like, maybe it's a little close, but I've hit the past like 3 or 4 3-point attempts. I'm sending it.
Yeah.
But that's warranted. Even unselfish players deserve a heat check.
Yeah.
That was art. That was art.
Yeah, that was a great 50 ball. It reminded me of Jamal's 50-point game that he had a few years ago, which was the season before he tore his ACL. Like it was the season he tore his ACL, but it happened before. Obviously, he tore his ACL. He I think it was 50, either 50 or 51, but he did it on 0 free throws. So he has the highest scoring game of all time without a single free throw attempt.
That's
yeah, which is just nuts. And then the other thing with that is like I think that Maxey has just risen to a level that is higher than a lot of people ever thought Maxey would be at, honestly. I think he just kind of keeps rising, you know?
I guess the most Maxey talk I hear is from our friend Anthony, who's always been like irrationally high on Maxey, but now it looks totally warranted.
Yeah, for sure.
The second he got the opportunity, he just was like, "Yep, I am good." Because he showed flashes in big games. He would have these moments where, like, man, that dude is just annoying. Why is he doing this? And then I'm just terrified, actually.
Yeah, he's a great shooter. Great shooter off the ball, like off of the dribble, off movement. And he's also one of the fastest players in the league.
Fast.
So it's nice. It's a nice combo. I feel like him and Embiid are a nice like two
Embiid
punches.
Finally has a deputy that is like compatible. They didn't bring in like another. Oh, you need the paint. We got this guy in the draft. He also needs to exclusively use the paint.
Yeah.
Can you guys make that work? No, it is good for Joel Embiid. I'm glad that it took him long enough. Because even Harden, things didn't work out perfect.
I mean, they had a great season together, for sure. The playoffs didn't look pretty at the end, but I mean, without Harden there last year, I don't think Embiid wins the MVP.
No.
Like
this is just, I think, the next level. You're getting 110% of Joel Embiid this year, and maybe it's not just because Harden's gone, but it feels like the next level of his being taken from a guy that was already like a perennial MVP candidate.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think he's. It's weird as it sounds. I'll talk about. Oh, he's playing so well. I don't think he's playing like a back-to-back MVP. I don't know. It just is weird.
Yeah, I wouldn't be my MVP so far. I mean, Jokic would obviously be my MVP so far. I think that's a very uncontroversial thing to say right now.
I think it's controversial if you say actually anything else.
Oh yeah, probably honestly.
Is there another name that you could say that'd be like okay,
be acceptable? Maybe Luka, I guess, or Ant. Oh,
just because of the wins that Ant has, just like those top 3-4 teams in the NBA, we've beat all of them because of me.
Yeah. That Ant would be a good one. I don't know if you could say him over Jokic.
No, but it wouldn't be. It'd be like that was going down a rabbit hole. We could talk about that in a different episode because that's a team. Man, look at them Wolves go. They're just wreaking havoc on the world.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, they're making what's the word? They're like making that Gobert trade. They're changing the narrative on that. I think, at least, I haven't heard anybody say this yet, but I feel like that's honestly, we might be looking at the Gobert trade pretty differently here if that continues the way it has been.
And I saw something crazy. Brian Windhorst, I think it's wrong, but he said word around the league is the T-Wolves couldn't even get a pick for Cat.
Really? That surprises me.
That there's no world that, like, it might be like 75 cents on what Cat's actually worth, dollar type of thing, but it's not like you're getting nothing. You're not going to get you're not getting zero back.
There would have to be some first round picks. I doubt that there would be.
But instead of there being like the 2 or 3, maybe it's just 1 or 2 or 1 in a couple seconds. Like it's
instead of like the 4 or 5 type of thing that most stars go for nowadays.
It'll just be lower than that.
Yeah.
But I don't know who wants him. I just know the T-Wolves probably don't.
But right now they might. I think things are looking pretty good. I mean,
I just know in the games that I've watched, granted I did not watch the Nuggets one, but it's just been like the T-Wolves beat the Celtics despite Karl Anthony Towns.
Oh yeah, Cat wasn't good in the Nuggets game either, but it's just like he still unlocks something for that. Like, he's a big part of why their defense, not big part, but he's a part of why their defense is so smothering inside because of all the length. Like, it's not just the fact that they have Gobert. Like, Gobert, in Utah, it was like he was a walking top 10 defense. Now we're finally seeing him with other length and other like defensive players around him, and it's scary. That's what it looks like.
I think that'd be true and would matter if Naz Reid wasn't the guy that would fill in for him.
Well, yeah, but now you have to have somebody who fills in for Naz Reid's spot, and that's, I guess, if you think Leonard Miller, the rookie they got in the draft, is ready for that. But like, if you can get something to help give you a more consistent Mike Conley spot, because that's what limits this team is the consistency offensively out of Mike Conley is going to be what like slows this team down. Like, looking at the plus minus for the Celtics game, Mike Conley was negative 18. Oh, really? What was Gobert?
Plus.
Really?
Plus 24.
How in the world? I thought they would. Maybe they don't, but I just assumed they would probably stagger their, like, not stagger, but the opposite of that, like pair their minutes up as much as possible. Gobert and Conley. Whenever Gobert's on the floor, Conley should be. I thought I would guess that's just my basketball brain. That's what makes sense because Conley is like what unlocks Gobert as a piece, offensively speaking. That's another thing. Anthony Edwards has grown in that department as well. We've seen Anthony Edwards throw some alley oops this year to Gobert, which is just a thing that was unheard of before.
No, Ant is a problem. Yeah, geez Louise. He's top 10 for sure.
Right now?
With how he's been playing, he just has to be.
So who does he bump out?
Booker?
Booker? Or you had Shea at 10, for sure, in your top 10? I think you had Booker at 9.
It's probably Shea. He at the bare minimum, he is in the 14. Dame's out of that group with how he's played this year.
So
Not
far,
as a player, but as Ant is for sure at least. So because my 10 was, I had KD way too high. I don't know why I did that, but that's not the point.
You had KD at 4.
Yeah, KD was way too high. But Jimmy Butler, Dame, LeBron.
LeBron was your 14.
I'm just trying to remember who my guys that were outside the top 10, but were on that list.
LeBron was 14, Kawhi was 11, Jimmy was 12, and Dame was 13.
I take Ant over every single one of them this year.
That's pretty fair. I think Jimmy's been really good this year too. Well, and Kawhi. But Kawhi also hasn't had...
Ant
I would say it's fair to say Ant is over them, though. Yeah.
Beaten the two best teams in basketball, not single-handedly. Ant was the offensive reason against two pretty good defenses. It's not like the Celtics are any slouches on defense.
No, you guys are I think you guys have the second best defensive rating.
Behind the T-Wolves.
Yeah.
And it's not like the Nuggets are any slouches on defense. They're not but...
We're 8th right now.
He just, at will... it was just gross. Everything went in. He's just good. He's just stinking good. And while I'm going to go from good, happy to angry. Okay. Joe Mazzulla, call an effing timeout. Come on.
Yeah.
Dude, you're doing good things. The team is melding better. Just call an effing timeout. Jaylen Brown on a cold night does not be needed to take the attempt to tie the game or to win the game.
Yeah, I didn't see that one, but I feel your pain, though.
Well, no, and then I text you that I'm all mad about Jaylen Brown, and then the next 2 nights, cooking, he's just saucing up people. And I'm like, gosh dang it, Jaylen. Consistency. The best part of this KP trade, the same way, him, Kristaps, and Jaylen Brown just work. Just those two, their 2-man game just works to the nth degree.
KP and who?
Jaylen Brown.
Oh yeah, okay.
It just.
Yeah, but go ahead if you had more.
No,
to say.
I was texting you. I was like, send Jaylen to the moon. I'm done. And it's just because Jaylen Brown has always had the greatest, being the second option, cushiest ever. Because if he had a bad game, Tatum would pick it up. Yeah. So it didn't matter. They won anyway. Whatever. Whenever Tatum had a bad game and Brown had a bad game, all the blame would go to Tatum.
Yeah.
And then whenever Brown had a good game, even if Tatum was fine, it'd be like, oh my, get this man a first option somewhere else.
Yeah.
They can't play together. But then whenever if he's just non-existent, he just catches no blame. Like the Sixers, neither of them played great against the Sixers. But KP stepped up and is like, I'll have 30. I'll be that guy. Someone else help. And neither of them showed up. And it was Drew Holiday. He was there's still a couple things. Drew Holiday was very good for us against the Sixers. He was very beneficial when he was on the court. It just makes me sad. We're so good and so bad sometimes. And I say so bad. We just are not consistent offensively, and that irks me. We don't need to score 130 points a game, whatever weirdly dumb high number we were at going into that Wolves game. Just get 110, because your defense isn't going to give up much more than that. You don't need to be crazy. You don't need to live and die by the 3-point line. You've just got so many pieces that work. Just anger. Just anger. No one outside of the Nets has gotten above... Oh, the Heat got above 110. The Nets and the Heat. Just get 110.
Wow, those are the only teams you've let get over 110? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
T-Wolves got to 114, sorry. So, but yeah, Nets were at 114. Heat were at 111. Yeah, no one else has gotten above 110.
You guys' defensive rating on cleaning the glass is 104.7. So that's second in the league.
Behind the Wolves.
Yeah. The Wolves is 102.0.
Yeah, no, the Wolves are gross.
And so league average this year is 113.2. So the Timberwolves are 11.2 points below league average. Or above, however you want to look at it.
That's also, and the only thing that's holding back this T-Wolves off, it's Mike Conley being like a negative piece on offense. And not like opening things up. They held the Raptors to 94 on opening night, or 97 on opening night, and lost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Mike Conley, he's just not been shooting well, right?
Yeah, and
yeah, I think what he does as a floor general though has still been important. I can't speak on this too heavily because I haven't been like super locked into that side of things, but like, I don't think it's like Mike Conley has to change everything. It's probably as soon as the shots start falling for Mike Conley, I feel like things will turn around.
Because their offense is the only thing that's going to hold them back. If Ant can't just be an insane superhuman superhero every game that they need him to be, that's what's going to hold the team back at all.
Yeah, for sure.
I think.
Yeah, that's probably true. They're 15th right now. This is all on cleaning the glass, by the way, which is not
cuts out garbage time.
Yeah, exactly.
Cuts out something else, doesn't it?
It's just garbage time. They cut out garbage time and they average it out to points per 100 possessions.
What would the what is their definition of garbage time? Is it like a point differential or?
Actually, it says garbage time and possessions at the end of quarters that are highly likely to end up in a heave are excluded.
Okay.
Cleaning glass uses definition of garbage time that is as objective as possible and generally matches up with most people's perception of what garbage time is. When the game is out of hand, both teams have subbed out most of their starters and the game never gets close again. So there's a formula they have.
So they just go through and it just is like if X number of starters are out, the difference is this much.
Yeah, so the game has to be in the fourth quarter. The score differential has to be less than or equal, or no, greater than or equal to 25 for minutes 12 through 9.
Oh, and then like progressive. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because if it's like a 15-point game in the last 3 minutes, you're probably not seeing people.
Yeah. So
it could come back, but that's not a.
Yeah.
Starters can get subbed out at that point.
Yeah, it goes down to so it's 25 differential of 25 for minutes 12 to 9. Then minutes 9 to 6 is 20 differential of 20, and then 10 is for the remainder of the game. So the last 6 minutes of the game, if the differential is greater than 10, then those possessions don't count
and don't get closer.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, just the possessions when it's like that. It goes by possession basis. So it's like every possession in which the game clock is under 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter and the differential on the scoreboard is greater than 10, that possession isn't included.
I think that's slightly flawed.
But it's hard. It'd be hard to get it exactly perfect, but
that's yeah.
Like you might lose a couple possessions that are like that probably wasn't garbage time, but for the most part, you're getting what you want out of it, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway,
but yeah. So the other thing I wanted to mention really quick was Tyrese Halliburton, because looking at the best offense in the league right now on cleaning the glass is Indiana with 122.4 points per 100. And that just reminded me of the other night. Tyrese Halliburton had a game where he had 17 assists with 0 turnovers. 17 assists, 0 turnovers.
Pretty good.
Yep. That's an assist to turnover ratio. I'm no math major, but I think that's an assist to turnover ratio of 17 to 0.
That's pretty good.
Uh-huh. Pretty insane. But I think something you brought up in the preparation for this episode was 76ers being being ranked over the Bucks right now in the East. Right?
Yeah.
So, I guess, did you want to go into that at all?
Okay, so I've been like, the Bucks thing's not working. It's not like broken. It's just in its current state, whether that's because of coaching, whatever, it's not working to the level that just about everybody thought it would be.
Yeah.
It's not working.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense is abysmal, and offensively, they're not even like out shooting their defense by near enough. They're 500, I think, last I checked.
They're 6-4.
Okay, so they were 5-5 when I last looked. So, I think they were 5-5.
5-4, probably.
Not 5.
Because they're
5-4. But anyway, that's not great at all. So,
yeah, they're actually.
I don't know what they do to fix it, because it's like, it's not just a play better thing. Jay Crowder is going to be out for a while, which is like maybe a way they could try to help their defense, but that's not like what Jay Crowder can do anymore. It's worrisome.
Yeah, and according to Cleaning the Glass, they're actually playing a lot worse than their record. Like, they're number one in the league in terms of win, like the differential between what their expected wins is and what they have.
And it's early in the season, obviously, but
their expected wins is 3.9 right now, because they have a point differential, a net rating of negative 3.6.
Yeah.
Which is 21st in the league.
Yeah.
So
it's they're not good. But
they're not good right now. They aren't good right now. That's a fact.
It's a 2-man race for the East as of right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it hurts, but I think the Sixers are in the driver's seat. If they
over the Celtics,
they just play so good, and they've looked so good in like 4 games.
Yeah, I still think you have to lean Celtics though, just because
maybe after tomorrow's game, if the Celtics just come back and just punch them in the mouth so hard, I will be a completely different person on our next episode.
Are you playing them again
tomorrow?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll be tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday. The Wednesday game.
That'll be a good rematch. Hopefully everybody's playing, because Embiid didn't play last game, right? Or he played against Boston, right? But he
did play against Boston.
He didn't play in the game that Tyrese Maxey had 50 points, correct?
Maybe.
Oh, I thought you said that earlier. I'm just going based off of what you said earlier, honestly. I thought you said first game without Embiid, Maxey had 50 points.
First game without Harden. It wasn't the first game. Just one of the games without Harden.
Oh, gotcha.
He did play. I don't know if Embiid has missed a game yet.
Okay, yeah, then I didn't know. I was solely going
I knew he played against the Celtics. I messed up when I was...
Okay, yeah, I think then I guess we would expect them all to play, and that will be an interesting rematch. But yeah, the Bucks experiment right now, it's just like, I think missing Drew was a lot bigger of a thing than I previously thought, and also couple that with the decline. Like, I think even if the Dame trade wouldn't have happened, the Bucks would still be in a pretty bad situation right now. Like, things wouldn't be looking good for the Bucks. You know what I mean? Like, this would have been a clear like step down for them, probably, because Chris Middleton, the fact that he's just still looking like a complete shell of his former self right now.
Yeah, he does not look even, and that's the other. Yeah, sorry, he looks not normal. He does not look like. Well, maybe this is the new normal for Chris Middleton. He does not look like I'm going to turn into Michael Jordan in like June
and be
May.
like a legit all-star.
Yeah,
you know,
not lucky all-star, a legitimate all-star.
Mm-hmm. And then Brook Lopez is showing some signs of aging, being like 35 or 36, something like that. And then Bobby Portis has been playing well, but that's like, you got Giannis and Bobby Portis who are playing up to standard. Lillard has struggled a little bit. He's kind of been like very back and forth. Like, he's had some good games, but hey, he's had some abysmal games. So yeah, things for the Bucks right now, I think it's worse right now than it will ultimately end up being, for sure. Like, they're a better team than what they've showed so far. But yeah, thus far things do not look promising, and you were not crazy at all for putting them at 6th. I think 6th is pretty fair, if not like maybe even lower, than 6th would be the right place to put them right now.
Which is just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they weren't in the Central, they would be like ringing the alarm bells.
Yeah.
No, but if they're in the Atlantic Division,
that would be ugly.
They're 3rd in the division. That's the nightmare scenario. I guess if they're in the Southeast, never mind. I'm stupid. But it's just like, it is, they're not great. They're bad at basketball, and they suck, and I was right. Haha.
Yeah. Cleveland also being a team in their division right now that's not been playing very well. But I think they'll get better as well. Evan Mobley hasn't been improving the way that me and other people hoped he would, but he's just kind of looking like the same player he's been,
which is not still bad. It's just not a big jump.
Yeah. Yeah, and then so 76ers over Bucks. You said even 76ers possibly over the Celtics. Who knows?
I think I'm just depression. I had the worst sporting weekend in a long time.
For me. Really?
Yeah.
I guess what happened in the Nebraska game, I don't even know.
Pain.
Who did we play?
Pain. We played Maryland.
Okay. Are they good?
No. But we're not either.
Yeah.
It's fine. We're fine. Hey, Matt Rule, Marcus Satterfield, if you happen to listen to this podcast, just let Purdy play. You don't need the brownie points from letting the Carney kid play. He's not a quarterback. Heinrich Harburg is not a quarterback. He is a running back or a tight end. Say it with me. He is not a quarterback. He's getting better, but he's not a quarterback. Jeff Sims has some sort of weird turnover bug and has lost all his confidence. Lean on Purdy and don't make him be the hero. You hear me? We can make a bowl game still. Wisconsin's not unbeatable. Iowa's not unbeatable. We've had 4 chances to win 1 game, and we squandered 2 of them on quarterback turnovers. And then my Patriots suck.
Yeah.
At least my Celtics are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So football just not looking great, but
no, it's not.
Mm-hmm. But so you said Nebraska's still able to be in a bowl game though, potentially?
Yep, we are 5-4. We are 5-5 now. We started at 5-3. We had 4 chances to win 1 game. And the first 2 were the easiest 2 wins. So the only thing is Wisconsin has been looking pretty duty shoes recently. And Iowa is Iowa. So that game will be a 3-0 victory, probably, for whoever wins.
Yeah.
Because both of the offenses are so comically bad, and the defenses are so unfathomably good. It's
going to look like that, yeah.
No, our defense is actually legitimately good. Like, if our offense and defense were both as good as our defense, if that analogy makes sense, we would be like a fringe top 15 team. Top 10 team. Like, we would be actually good at football.
Yeah.
Our defense is immaculate. We give up a lot, but it's fine. We want a 3-3-5 defensive backs, and you send a lot of blitzes. And so sometimes you give up big, deep plays sometimes.
But you also
get a lot of
yardage
sacks.
Going the other way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Negative yardage.
This doesn't need to be part of the episode, but I just read the wildest thing, and I need you to hear this.
Okay.
Get ready? This is from r/NBA Circle Jerk. Should the Brooklyn Nets kill 5 of their... I can't even get through it. Should the Brooklyn Nets kill 5 of their players to trigger a disaster draft to improve their roster?
To trigger a disaster... Oh!
An NBA disaster draft is a contingency plan to be used when 5 or more players on a team have died or have been dismembered.
Yeah.
In the draft, the team whose players died would be able to draft the amount of players from other teams equivalent to how many they have lost. Other teams, though, are only allowed to protect 5 players from being drafted, but many teams have good sixth men that are available. With the Nets having bad contracts and underperforming such as Ben Simmons, they could just kill two-way players and bench warmers to fill out those 5 to get the disaster draft. According to Bill Simmons, the next team would also get the first pick in next year's draft. Now the next draft class is weak, so I can understand their hesitancy, and being a repeat offender that is killing 5 players on your team in 2 separate occasions could raise some eyebrows, but this could still greatly improve the team. No doubt killing your players will have with bad contracts and then killing your bench warmers for 6 men would greatly improve them and other teams. What do you guys think? And should any other teams do this, and who would you kill? This is a fun exercise, not in the kill.
Oh my gosh.
But we'll just call it force retire. If you had to have 5 guys just be gone, not gone.
Wait,
gone.
let's not skim over what's this
No.
Brooklyn. Why is this person so upset? They're 5-5. What was he expecting from this Nets season that it's so disappointing?
Well, I think it's that there's no future.
Well, yeah, they're kind of in this middle ground right now, but
no, it's delusion, and I didn't read it until the end, and who do you think they should kill? I think it's a joke.
Oh yeah, 100% is a joke.
You say that there's some crazy people on the internet.
No, there's no way that's not a joke.
But
what were you saying though? You started to go into something.
That would be an interesting exercise though on what's the best team you could build if 5 players were protected on each team.
Oh yeah.
How good would that team be? I think it could be pretty good.
If every player was
every player available except for top 5 are blocked.
But if you take a player from a team, all the other players on that team are now unavailable also.
I believe.
Yeah.
But just looking at the Celtics, Al Horford and Drew Holiday, Derek White, some collection of those 3 players are available.
Yeah.
Then you look at 2 of them, and then what are some other sixth men teams?
I guess in Indiana, there's probably quite a few players with Bruce Brown, Buddy Hield.
This is gonna take forever to actually.
Yeah, that is an interesting thing that we could probably look at sometime. But
I do not wish ill on anybody in the NBA. I hope they all have long, fruitful lives and develop into the best possible players they could be.
Mm-hmm.
Just I'm putting that out there.
Do not want a disaster draft to happen.
I want the opposite of that, actually. I would like an expansion draft, Adam Silver, because guess what? The league is primed for expansion.
Yeah, I think it's funny how this is a nice bit that we have going where you dive into this every chance you get. But it's funny because I feel like if Adam Silver actually heard these episodes, he'd be confused at why you're calling, because I feel like he's doing everything he can. I feel like he's one of the biggest proponents of getting an expansion to happen.
Oh no, it's absolutely that has nothing to do with Adam Silver.
It's just he's the face of the league, and you're talking more to the universe than anybody else.
Yeah, I'm talking at the NBA, but I feel like giving it a human name is funnier.
Yeah.
Instead of being NBA, Adam, the league is prime. It's just better. No, I'm because he's even talked about Vegas is for sure the city that will get one, and then everybody assumes Seattle is the other one, from what I understand.
Yep, and he had a quote the other day saying that they're also talking about
just
Mexico City.
32, you can go into 34.
I don't know about that, but at least sometime in the future, he's talking about potentially expanding to Mexico City. Yeah, Vancouver and Montreal. Yeah.
Well, you'd have to find one more, Adam. I'm not a math wizard.
Yeah,
he just make it.
I think maybe not all of them would be, but those are all options, I think is what he means. But
I could rock with a Billings,
Montana.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how well that would work.
I just think it'd be cool, but not that it'd be good. Boise? No, Boise, Idaho.
Boise might, that's one that I've thought about, in that big dead zone of the U.S., that doesn't have anything.
It's beautiful.
And Boise,
it's not
Boise
dead,
would be
beautiful.
No, I mean in terms of
population centers.
population and like having big like in
franchise things.
sports franchise and
like Boise State has a huge following collegiately.
Yeah, I'm sure because it's like the biggest school within a large radius.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's pretty close to the western edge of that zone. So it's like not far from like Seattle and Portland, I guess. In the grand scheme of things. But yeah, so there's still like a pretty big dead zone in like basically that big stretch east of the Rocky Mountains, like right after the mountains end. Like and then so the panhandle of Nebraska and the eastern little piece of Colorado just make that an entire like vertical post that goes through the entire map of the US, you know, up and down. That whole zone is pretty dead. Because it is pretty arid because of the climate there, because of the mountains or whatever. It's like a dry place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I talked about.
I'm pretty sure that's Yellowstone. I think that's a giant national park. Like all the way to like Canada. It's just all Yellowstone. No, Yellowstone's giant.
Yellowstone doesn't go into Canada.
It goes up to the border of Canada.
Maybe it's in I know it's in 3 states. It's like Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana. I want to say. And it's barely in one of those. Because that's the one that's like it's legal to commit. It's like a loophole that you can get away with crime technically there.
It's barely in. What? Where am I looking? What is this cursed map? National Park Service, get your crap figured out. It's barely in. Dude, I'm gonna set the National Park Service a nicely worded letter.
It definitely doesn't go up to Canada.
It's like shockingly close.
No, it's like the bottom of Montana. It's not that.
That's Canada, pretty much.
It's like bigger than you would think a national park would be, but it's not like a
it looks like it's like a 16th of Wyoming.
Yeah. But it's like it goes into Montana and Idaho a little bit.
Yeah, there's no world that even gets close to Canada. I'm a little dumb.
But I think it's either Idaho or Montana. Like
it's barely in Idaho from visuals.
Yeah, like I think that little stretch of land, which I think is like still like 50 square miles or something. Since there's nobody who lives there, it's technically legal to commit a crime there. Not legal, but like you can't. There's no way you could get like charged technically by the way that the laws or the Constitution is written. Have you heard about this loophole? No, like the Constitution of the U.S. It's like because Yellowstone is a federal land. And so it like the way it's worded is like.
Does that mean that all national parks would fall under that then?
No, because within the state they're in, they can form a jury of the people who are state citizens of the park that it's in. You know, would that live in the zone also? Like, you know, so like that's only an issue when you get to this little sliver of Yellowstone that's in Idaho because there's nobody who lives there and it's in Idaho. So you have to make the jury out of all Idaho civilians who live in Yellowstone, which there's 0 of. So you can't have a jury, and therefore you can't go on trial. Is
that how juries work? It's just your peers. Are peers hard state lines?
In the wording of this particular rule,
it is.
Yeah. Oh. But and so somebody went. But like the funny thing is, I don't know how many people have tried.
I would imagine state crimes, but if you were to commit a federal offense, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, I don't know offense, for sure.
Your peers would be the whole country. But for a state crime,
yeah, I guess. No, because somebody. The thing is, you can get like the way the loophole is explained is like you can technically get away with murder there. Like you can murder somebody, and technically,
wild. Other than like your moral compass being like, don't do that.
And also, I'm saying technically because there's no world that you would actually get off scot-free. Like, and I know that for a fact because the one person that I do know who has gone there and tried committing a crime to get away with this was actually charged anyways because the judge was just like, oh, he like overlooked it. He just like was like, I'm the arbiter. That's a stupid loophole. Like, we're not doing that. And he just did it anyways. Yeah. So, which I figured would probably be how it would go because the jury, like it, in so many cases, the judge has a lot of power to be able to be like, to make judgment calls. That's why he's the judge. Judgment calls. So yeah, it's just a fun, interesting, I don't know what you call it.
Oh, it's not even real anymore.
Did it get amended or something?
It got fixed, I think.
Yeah.
Because the United States District Court for the District of Wyoming is the only U.S. state to have jurisdiction over multiple states. This is because its jurisdiction includes all of Yellowstone Park, which extends slightly beyond Wyoming's boundaries into Idaho and Montana. In addition, the federal government has exclusive jurisdiction over the park, so crimes committed in the park cannot be prosecuted under any state laws.
Yeah.
Trials in the district court are normally held at the federal courthouse in Cheyenne. However, the Sixth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution decrees that the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime has been committed. Because of this, the charges for the crime alleged have been committed in the area of the park in Idaho would have to be tried before a jury consisting of entirely residents of that area. However, the Idaho portion of the park is uninhabited, so a jury of residents, both the state and district, would not be impaneled, and the Constitution guarantees the rights to a jury trial specified 3 separate times. A defendant facing any felony or misdemeanor charge being unable to receive a constitutional trial could not be legally punished regardless of guilt or innocence. After the loophole was discovered, he worked with Congress to close it. He suggested to lawmakers in Wyoming that the zone of death, which is what it's called, be included as part of the federal district court for the District of Idaho instead of the Wyoming district, which would fix the issue. However, Congress ignored these suggestions, but in 2017, C.J. Box wrote a novel called The Free Fire that featured the zone, which Box hoped would increase governmental awareness. The novel did not succeed in alerting the Wyoming Senator Mike Enzi to the issue. However, he was unable to convince Congress to discuss it. No. Oh, just kidding. I thought it had been fixed, but it has not been fixed.
Oh, yeah. Because I was going to say, I feel like this happened recently. The guy that went and killed an elk there and was like,
2000. That just came up. Gosh dang it. 2005. A poacher named Michael Belderain illegally shot an elk in the Montana section of Yellowstone. And while that section of park does have enough residents to form a jury, it might be difficult to put together a standing and fair one due to travel or unwillingness of members in a small portion there, so a federal judge ruled that Bahrain could be tried in the U.S. District Court of the District of Wyoming, despite the Sixth Amendment problem. He cited Count's paper, The Perfect Crime, to explain why he believed it was illegal to have his trial with a jury from a state other than where the crime was committed. The court dismissed this argument. He took a plea deal condition so that he would not appeal the zone of death issue to the 10th Circuit, rendering the issue moot, at least for the time being.
Nice.
I just read Wikipedia.
Yeah. It was good, though. Yeah.
I'm sure that'll be cut. That was more for us just to know.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it was an interesting little fact here at the end of the episode. But, yeah, which I think that is where we should be at right now, the end, as this has dragged on a little bit. And we're getting to that mark where we want to be at, that sweet spot. So, yeah, I guess the only other thing I had written down to touch on was the Mavs, which are just a surprise. Won't go into too much depth there, but they're playing better than I had thought. I thought they were not going to look good at all, but the fact of the matter is that they do look very good with Luka. He's dialed in his 3-point shot. Like in the past, he's been like a subpar 3-point shooter, but he's just been like really good at creating them. Now he's still creating 10 a game off the dribble, but he's actually making them at like 43% or whatever, which probably won't sustain at that level. But the fact that he's doing it even like above a league average mark is like a big improvement. And his free throw shooting is looking better also. And Kyrie Irving has also been playing a lot. Derek Lively is probably the big key, like full circle. We're going back to the beginning of the episode with that one. That Derek Lively is the key to why a lot of things are working better than we thought they would for the Mavs. So yeah, with that one, we will be done here today. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow the podcast feed on Spotify. Give us a rating. Do all the things. Follow or go and subscribe to the Patreon. Become a member there at patreon.com/hooptheory, or do like a one-time donation over at buymeacoffee.com/hooptheory. All of the links of all of these things should be in the description of both the show and the episode wherever you're listening to this. And without further ado, Jacob, do you have anything else to say to the people?
Peace!